use the black private dick as a sex machine on all ships.
Welcome back to Shaft, 29 years later. Now, you were probably expecting the original Shaft, but no, it's actually his son this time. And once again, the theme performed by Isaac Hayes, and directed by John Singleton, who also directed Boys in the Hood. And here we are back in New York City, just like the original Shaft from 1971. We are at the scene of the crime, and we see this dead guy in orange, as well as the protagonist, John Shaft, or John Shaft II, played by Samuel L. Jackson. John Shaft walks around inside this restaurant, and now we see the key witness here, who will come in use much later. And here we see the annoying threat of the movie, Walter Wade Jr., played by Patrick Bateman himself, as well as Batman, Christian Bale.
You know who my father is?
No. Do you?
As Shaft Jr. sees the blood on his finger, as well as blood on the witness on the side of her face. And yeah, Walter Wade Jr. is the son of Walter Wade Sr., a rich kid. And now John Shaft speaks to the witness, Diane Palmieri, played by Toni Collette, who's actually in the new Clint Eastwood movie, Juror Number 2, which I've never seen. Okay, so that guy's named Trey, and here's his girlfriend, and tells Shaft that Walter Wade Jr. killed Trey because of a joke in this flashback. So the two now sit down as Walter starts talking in a black accent. But Trey grabs a table napkin and uses a knife to carve some holes into the napkin, puts his mask of a known group of killers from the past. I think you know what I'm referring to. I'm not gonna say it on here. And now Shaft Jr. walks out to check on Walter Jr., and this is the son of Walter Wade Sr., like I mentioned, a rich real estate developer, and finds Diane Palmieri's driver's license in Walter Wade Jr.'s wallet, with also blood on it. Giving that Christian Bale stare towards Shaft Jr. here. So Shaft runs back inside the restaurant to check on Diane Palmieri, and this waitress tells him she left. I guess she got scared. And now goes back out, and Walter Wade Jr. says something to piss off Shaft. And on the stretcher to see that Trey is still alive and is now dead, officially. Punching Walter Wade Jr. twice. So John Shaft walks out freely between the cars and gets back to the station and into the next scene to pack up and onto the next precinct. Sort of like Exit Wounds from 2001, but that movie didn't come out for another year. And now Shaft is in court to see that Walter Wade Jr. is having an easy time for not being found guilty as he walks past Shaft and Trey's mother. Now all these guys are pissed off that Walter Jr. is free for now. Now calls up Shaft at work that he is in Switzerland, all thanks to Shaft for punching him twice. Yeah, he's stupid for doing that, Shaft. He would have been in jail by now if he didn't punch him. But yeah, whatever, he will get what he deserves later. And now he takes out Diane's license to finally find her, and now the truth out of her since she saw everything that night. And now 2 long years later, and we are at this apartment building with some arrests, as well as Carmen Vasquez, Shaft's colleague, played by Vanessa Williams, as well as the goofball duo Jack and Jimmy, the new recruits for this precinct, as well as Detective Luger, and breaks into this party where I'm guessing drugs are being stored. I'm guessing these guys are Mexicans, so no one escapes as everyone. So one guy escapes as everyone and Shaft are running after him, and you can see that Shaft is not sporting his fancy jackets and turtlenecks. Hence, he's just a simple police officer now. And he just gives up fooling Shaft and jumps onto the next building's window and manages to catch him from the back. So that job is done, and we see the main villain of the movie up there in the apartment across the street. The famous Peoples Hernandez, played by Felix Leiter himself, Jeffrey Wright.
John, come on, no!
Yeah, it's hard to believe this was once Felix Leiter, but yeah, we all get our start somewhere. And personally to me, Peoples Hernandez is unforgettable, which makes this Shaft a much more pleasant experience as opposed to the original Shaft. The original Shaft was still good, but gotta admit, this one is way more fun to watch than the original. And now Peoples comes down with his guys and now touches Shaft with his finger, and now he's under arrest for assaulting an officer. The little things you do can get you arrested. And now Shaft finds a nice pick after searching Peoples and now heads back to HQ, bringing in the arrested guys. And here comes Detective Loser again, pissing Shaft off again with what he's saying. And now some threats and, a little bit of yelling at each other, and Loser leaves.
It was Shaq. Like when you handle that, bro.
Shut the fuck up.
And now there's a call for Shaft about the blood sample found on Diane Palmieri's license from 2 years ago. And now it calls up another colleague, Rasan. He is like Ben Buford from the original Shaft for all you old school movie fans out there, played by the rapper Busta Rhymes. I've never listened to Busta Rhymes till like maybe a few years ago. Maybe I was born too late. I don't know. Maybe I'm not into rap that much. But alright, so Shaft is now at the airport waiting for the rich kid, Walter Wade Jr., and judging by the hair here, pretty sure it's Rasan here pretending to be the limo driver. And inside it is John Shaft with handcuffs, and yeah, the limo driver is Rasan as well. Pretty obvious there, as the actual limo driver is tied up and gagged on the passenger seat. But yeah, Christian Bale looks pretty young here, even with American Psycho, which also came out in 2000 at the same time as this movie. Maybe it's the haircut, or maybe the guy, maybe he's just short next to John Shaft. Everyone at the station is happy that Shaft caught Walter Wade Jr., and Peoples Hernandez is also there in the common prison cell. So Shaft has two new enemies, Walter Wade Jr. and Peoples Hernandez. Probably a girl caught his eye there. So Shaft goes to this club hangout spot, kind of like the Resto bar from the original Shaft, or the Cafe Reggio, I don't know, and says hi to the security guard first before going in. And we got the black Albert Einstein here as well, as one of the girls harassing Shaft here and congratulating him here as well for catching Walter Wade Jr. for now. And here we meet John Shaft, Sr., once again, 29 years later, played by Richard Roundtree, who died not that long ago in 2023. So John Shaft I, or John Shaft Sr. here, is a detective, and he pretends that Shaft Jr. is his nephew here in this movie. And the truth is revealed that he is Shaft Sr.'s son in the 2019 movie, which is made solely for Netflix. Not a disappointment. And now we are back at the station where Shaft Jr. works for in the common prison cell. And we got the famous shoe scene here.
Give me your shoes.
They wouldn't fit you.
But he doesn't want to give up his shoes, so it's because, he's Walter Wade Jr. So the fat guy gets aggressive, and Walter Jr. here makes a great comeback.
You want my shoes?
And now Shaft over here is flirting with another one of his exes, as Lamont over here is a little simpish over here for the girl, and it's not what you think it is. So it's Shaft's birthday, and the fight was just a fake way for him to get inside the next door. And now back at the police station, we see Peoples trying to be friends with Walter Jr., as well as exchanging personal info about each other.
You got like a business card or something?
And now back at the Resto bar with the birthday all over. Alright, so both Shafts are watching TV, and Walter Wade Jr. shows up again, based on his return to America, since he was sent to Switzerland because of the Trey incident. Now Shaft Sr. leaves with girls, and Shaft Jr. is now invited at the bartender's house, and with this line.
You know me. It's my duty to please that booty.
Now Shaft is back at the courthouse with his former commissioner, as he is now retired, but Shaft is mainly here again for yet another Walter Wade Jr. trial in court. And we also see his lawyer, played by Joseph Sommer, who was also the lawyer from Dirty Harry, who was defending Scorpio near the very end. And here we see him 29 years later defending another criminal who gets away with all the facts presented by the arresting officer. Yeah, it's funny how Shaft and Dirty Harry also came out in the same year. 70s police movies, it's a trend that will never be forgotten. And also, we see the other lawyer defending his invisible client, Trey, but we know he's dead. And we also see Trey's mom again, as well as Shaft sitting next to her, down watching. And the judge is liking what Trey's lawyer is saying and wants Walter Jr. to give back his American passport. But once again, Walter Jr. wins, as Walter Wade Sr. is also there, played by Philip Bosco, all happy that his son is free again. And Shaft Jr. is so pissed off that he throws his badge towards the judge. Here comes out Shaft's current commissioner, Lou, as well as Walter Jr. and his lawyer and cops. And Shaft Jr. is almost about to kill Walter Jr. and quits policing, as he shows off the license of Diane Palmieri from 2 years ago, making Walter Wade Jr. smile and vanish after seeing it. Now Shaft Jr. speaks with Shaft Sr. about catching Trey's killer on his own without being part of any force, since, he wants to be he wants to be John Shaft the first from 1971. Now both Walter Wades are with Scorpio's former lawyer from Dirty Harry, discussing that Diane Palmieri has not been seen for a while now, since Walter Jr. is worried. And now we see one of Walter Wade Sr.'s girlfriends wearing Walter Wade Jr.'s mom's jewelry and is pissed off and leaves, as he takes out more of his mom's jewelry. And now we see Shaft again in this local neighborhood to see if Diane Palmieri's home, and her mom is there to answer the door and tells Shaft that she doesn't live here anymore. And so now Carmen Vasquez is here to help Shaft, and now he goes down to see the same waitress from the place where Diane used to work at, where Trey got killed.
I'm free on Monday nights, Tuesday nights, and every other Wednesday.
Here for business or pleasure?
And the only way for Shaft to get some info out of her is to handle Malik over there, who's been bothering her son. Now the cops are here driving by, and as you already know, Shaft is unemployed with the police. But I guess he doesn't know that, and he probably knows that Shaft does a better job unemployed or employed with the police. Okay, so Shaft and Vasquez walk down to the park since he got his whereabouts of Diane, and she is there at a local park and makes a run for him the moment she sees John Shaft.
Get the fuck out of the road! What are you fucking doing, you crackhead?
And now we see Walter Jr. again walking around from the subway as Peoples Hernandez from the cell gave him his address, and we see this guy recognizing Walter Wade Jr. walking by, who happens to be Peoples' younger brother named Lucifer. And now Shaft is back at Diane Palmieri's house to see if she would go there as well, and guesses Leon to watch the Palmieri house as he munches on Dunkin' Donuts and milk. And we are at Peoples Hernandez's house again, as Walter Jr. is brought in.
Blend in or something, you look like a fucking duck hunter.
Okay, that was pretty funny. Still hard to believe that this was once before he became Felix Leiter. And why does he look so short here than everyone else, whereas he looks way taller in the James Bond movies? So Walter Jr. offers Peoples $40,000 in his mom's jewelry to locate Diane Palmieri so that Shaft won't solve this case. So Peoples agrees, but Walter Jr. is also, forced to help him distribute his drugs in certain parts of New York. Sort of like Han from Enter the Dragon wanting Roper for his drug business, but Patrick Bateman here strongly says no. But Peoples does not think this is enough for what Walter Jr. is asking from him. So we see one of Peoples' guys who happens to be an undercover operative for Shaft and tells him that he saw Peoples wanting something from Walter Wade Jr. And here comes Jack and Jimmy again as the operative puts his hood on, and they both recognize the hand tattoo. Now John Shaft is suspicious that these might be part of Peoples Hernandez's business. And yeah, Shaft's suspicions were correct. Jack and Jimmy, the new cops that are working at the new precinct, or working their new jobs at the local precinct, are working for Peoples Hernandez, or with Peoples Hernandez. And we also see Shaft's informant there, and Jack here tells him that he was with Shaft after recognizing the hand tattoo. As Jack and Jimmy casually walk down, Shaft's informant gets thrown out the window.
I heard you need a job, but this...
Okay, another funny joke by Peoples. So Shaft leaves after telling Peoples that searching for Diane is useless, as he returns back to the Palmieri house, once again asking for Diane as Mama Palmieri brings out her two fat sons to take care of John Shaft. Luckily he had a gun there, and Mama Palmieri gets hesitant and leaves as Jack and Jimmy follow him to get to Diane Palmieri. Carmen notices that her and Shaft are being followed, and Shaft tells her it's Jack and Jimmy, since he saw those two the other time, following him. Okay, so now Jack and Jimmy are following Walter Wade Jr. right now as he pawns off his mom's jewelry for the $40,000 for Peoples.
You staying at, bitch?
punk ass. Hey, you better keep stepping, motherfucker.
Now Walter Jr. knows that two guys are following him. No, not the same two guys that were staring at him. Two different guys this time. And they steal Walter Jr.'s pawned cash, and the two now run away with it. And it's actually Shaft and Loser who stole Walter's cash.
You're a notorious P.I.G.
So Shaft leaves, and now we see Walter Wade Jr. back at Peoples Hernandez's house and tells him that he got mugged as someone stole his cash that he pawned off. Or stole the cash that he gained from the pawning of his mom's jewelry. Peoples is now taking a shit in front of Walter Wade Jr. And now the only way for Walter Wade Jr. to get back that $40K is to do what was mentioned before. Sell the drugs supplied by Peoples. I mean, Walter Wade Jr. is already rich. I don't know why he can't just get more money from his bank account or ask his rich dad and pretends like he's buying a new car or a boat or something with that money. Now it's nighttime and we see Carmen Vasquez overhearing Diane Palmier's conversations as she calls up her mom about testifying on Walter Wade Jr. And now picks up the phone number she's calling from and starts to locate it. Alright, so Shaft is back at the station with the bag of cash and plants in Jack and Jimmy's squad car. Next morning we see Shaft in the car wash as Leon is posing as the car wash worker, with Jack and Jimmy following Shaft once again. As Shaft and Rasan are parked in Diane Palmier's neighborhood, waiting for the cash to be paid by Peoples to Jack and Jimmy. So Peoples Hernandez tells these two that he doesn't have the cash anymore. And now Peoples gets an anonymous call from Shaft as he gives the phone to Rasan, tells him that Jack and Jimmy were the ones who mugged Walter Wade Jr. the other night and took the $40K and to check the squad car to find the bag with the cash. Now we got this Reservoir Dogs kind of ending scene here. You know, the Quentin Tarantino movie from the 90s. As Shaft and Rasan make drive for it, Peoples Hernandez's younger brother spots it too, and he knows it was a setup. You know, good eye from him, luckily he was there. And right before Peoples uses his ice pick on Jack, Peoples' brother tells him everything, and spots another car with Leon also watching, pretending to be Shaft. And Rasan goes in to knock on the Palmieri house, and this time she is home as her mom calls her two fat brothers to come help, and now Peoples is here attacking. As Shaft is shooting Peoples' younger brother, Lucifer is his name, gets killed from the back. And I thought he was rich enough to afford bulletproof cars.
You best kill me! You best...
And now Peoples is going crazy, and here comes the Palmieri brothers bumping into Peoples, or bumping into him. And as one of her brothers jumps inside the car on top of Shaft, her other brother gets killed by Peoples Hernandez. Alright, so Peoples wants Jack and Jim to continue to follow Shaft as he will take care of the rest himself. Now back at Rasan's apartment where Diane and her brother will be staying at for now. But yeah, if you played Grand Theft Auto San Andreas from 2004, Rasan does sound like Ryder in that game. And of course you got Officer Tenpenny over here. But that game does not come out till 2004, so it's still a little too early. A little too early for that game to be mentioned, but none of this would have happened if Walter Wade Jr. had retrieved another $40K himself from his bank account since he was super rich. Or he could have just asked his dad. Now all these guys are beating up Walter Jr. since Peoples' brother has been killed, and he's so pissed off to the point he pushes the ice pick into his hand. As Jack and Jimmy continue to follow Shaft as Jimmy calls up Peoples to tell him that they located Shaft. Back at Rasan's as Shaft wants to speak to Diane alone and now tells Shaft the truth now. So she goes out for a cigarette in this flashback and sees Trey just walking out as the very emotionally aggressive Walter Wade Jr. grabs a street pole and just hits Trey across the face. And now he goes for her license since she saw everything. So that was Trey's blood that was on her license since Walter Jr. touched the bloody Trey. And the blood on the side of Diane's face is also Trey's because Walter Wade Jr.'s hand was oozing blood. So Shaft is ready to take on the trial as Diane says she took a bribe from someone of $100,000 that same year. And I don't know who she took the bribe from. Maybe Walter Wade Jr.'s associates. But alright, so more wasting time watching Carmen Vasquez as she pretends to be in the area.
Jesus Christ!
Here comes Peoples and his army ready to raid Rasan's apartment. Shaft spots the guy coming from the back, and similar to the original Shaft, as Peoples has taken over the entire apartment. Now Shaft finally meets up with his two corrupt colleagues since the last time he was with them was in the first 20 minutes of the movie. And Carmen is still alive and more shooting. And now some chasing and shooting, and Peoples is ultimately crazy right now, crashing into the car. Now the car flips over. And now Shaft has Diane by the neck, and now he wants a fight without guns. So Peoples Hernandez is officially dead. Wow. Another question I have to ask, is Jeffrey Wright really acting here, or he's just using a voiceover? Alright, so Diane is whimpering, and we are back at the courthouse waiting for Walter Wade Jr. again. And with Trey's mother present again as well, with Diane Palmieri and her mom and her brothers. Wow, looks like her other brother lived. I thought Peoples killed him. So Diane is ready to speak as both Walter Wade's are coming with their lawyer. And we see an unexpected turn. And it was Trey's mother who killed Walter Wade Jr. Looks like she watched Death Wish from 1974. Or Foxy Brown, whatever her favorite movie was. And now she's going to rot in jail forever. And now we are back at HQ as it looks like John Shaft Jr. is ready to quit. And wants Carmen Vasquez to join him for a detective work, as he will start his own detective agency. And we see this woman walking in wanting to file a report, as we see John Shaft I, or John Shaft Sr., sitting in the background patiently waiting for his turn to get into the scene. But she wants John Shaft II to help her out, and she sits down sadly, and he notices the bruise on her eye.
Write the asshole's name where I can find it.
And now both John Shafts are out to get one final job. As well as Rasan coming back and tells Shaft Jr. that he's got nothing left. Tells Shaft Jr. that he's got nothing left after Peoples and his guys have shot up his only car and his only place of residence. So Shaft Jr. gives him a free car, but we know they're just using Rasan to drive them so that he can drive the two to the next job. Alright guys, that's Shaft from 2000. A very fun movie with a great theme, even though it's tweaked, and to fit in with the 2000 standard of music. There is a sequel to this movie, which came out in 2019. Pretty fun. I don't think you guys will like it as much as this one. But both Shafts with Sam Jackson are both the best. Very fun. But that's it for me. Thanks for watching. See you soon in Beverly Hills Cop from 1984 with Eddie Murphy. Like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Take care. See you soon and watch away. And check out all 5 Shaft movies.
And I paid my dues with my